woke up in the morning and the sun broke through the open curtains. The birds sang too and they said, "This is a day to celebrate and savor the fruit you favor." So I said, okay then, what is the best way to taste the fresh flavors that make the basis of my sacred playlist?
Hi everyone, this was an amazing episode where we talked all about mental health, how to take care of yourself, ways that we do that, and about Emily's upcoming adventure.
Yes. And I think that all just tied in, right? Like choosing to go on this adventure was choosing something for myself, and
Yeah.
how sometimes something that might be hard to do for you, or to think you feel guilty for it or selfish, you have to go for it anyway. You have to go for it. Don't be scared, because in the long run, what you do for yourself and I'll edit that out.
No, try again, because I want to hear what you have to say.
In the long run, what you do for yourself and how you care for yourself, that allows you to care for others. And, those are the things that make the world go round.
Yep, absolutely. And practicing these types of things, like it was so validating to talk through mental health with you and to have an hour where we just talked about this topic, because it's validating to talk about it and it's good to practice it. And hopefully, it'll inspire you all to do the same.
Absolutely. So enjoy this episode, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to P.S. We Have No Plan. It's Emily here. Woo! I'm in Nashville still.
Woo woo. And I'm Peyton. I am still in LA, and here we are.
Fresh off from Sacramento.
Yeah, glamorous Sacramento. It was very fun though, I have to say. I was there for my friend's birthday, and she lives there and she's grew up there, and so she just knows it really well. So she knows the right restaurants to go to and the fun bars, and we went to a Kings game and they won, which was exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Is that near San Francisco or no? I don't know my California geography very well.
It is. It's like an hour away, hour and a half.
Okay.
And it's close to Tahoe. It's a very central place to live, even though it's not maybe the most glamorous. Yeah.
It's not the California we think of, maybe, or that I think of by not living in California.
No, but if you talk to my friend Marissa, she will talk your ear off about how great Sacramento is. So shout out, Marissa. We love you and Sac.
Shout out. We love it. Love it all. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
I was going to say, I have a couple stories. I have one story today.
Please.
So I have my Girl with No Plan blog still, or my fashion page, and it's all about like clothes, fashion, get ready with me, like let's pick out outfits and this is how you wear them. Well, there's this one guy that I work with. His name is Dale, and he's like late 50s. And he came in today and we were talking. I was with my boss, his daughter, and we were just talking. He always tells like old country music stories, and they're just fantastic. Like taking drugs, hanging out with Harlan Howard. And I mean, it's incredible. I asked him if he would come on our podcast sometime. He goes, I have to think about it. So clearly he has a very busy schedule. But he was talking about my page and he goes, I see you all over the internet. You're all over it. I watch you change your clothes. I was like, what?
You're like, that's not me.
That is not me. And I like looked at my boss. I was like, I'm not changing my clothes on the internet. This is not OnlyFans. I'm showing my outfits.
Oh my God. New rumor alert. I'm OnlyFans.
Exactly. And then my friend's like, oh, he's definitely going around town saying he's watching you on the internet changing clothes.
Oh,
so that was that. And that was, oh my God.
How chic and fun. You're just like this new edgy gal. People are like, ooh, that Emily.
What's she doing? I wouldn't have expected that, but here we go. Just living her life out there on the internet.
Oh, okay. What's your other story? I love this.
Well, it has to do with just some stupid shit that Dale said again. He goes, have you I mean, it's not like you were big or anything, but have you lost weight? And I was like, I don't know, Dale. You tell me. You tell me. Like anybody that's listening to this that knows Dale knows he doesn't mean any harm by these things, but it's like such a Daleism.
Daleism. Oh my God. I
Dale's a
love
moment.
those people that just have the phrases and the things that they say where you're just like, what are you doing? What?
Yes.
But it's so funny. It's just ridiculous. I have someone in my life named Joey. Shout out Joey. I love
Shout
him
out.
so much. I work with him at work and he has Joeyisms too. He's just like this flamboyant person who's just like, oh my God. Like he'll be like major purr. And it's like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
What does
But
it
he's
mean?
so funny. And I totally understand what you mean when it's like, it just makes sense for certain
Yes.
people.
And it's acceptable by them. But if it was somebody
Yes.
else, you're like, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah. Like that's a verging on rude, but it's
Virgin.
okay.
But with them, it's just like, oh, hell yeah, this is great. That's just you. Thank you, I think.
Oh my God. Love, love, love.
But yes, that was that.
So fun. Well, you have a lot of big life updates, my friend, and I think we should just dive right in because I want to hear all about it. You are leaving next week.
I know a week next Wednesday, February 1st, I'm leaving for 6 weeks. It's so crazy. Like
Crazy.
it's coming up so fast. And I've actually held off like talking about it a lot to a lot of people because, well, for multiple reasons. I don't want to sound like boisterous at all.
Mm,
Because
boastful.
boastful because it's, I mean, I'm very lucky to be able to do this. Like my boss has allowed me to take this time, and not only allowed me, encouraged me, and I think that's super special.
That's
But
not boastful. Take up
I
space. Take up space in your world. You deserve the little microphone to be like, look, everyone, I am lucky.
I am lucky, sons of bitches, you
Yeah,
bastards.
I love it.
All right, well, I feel very lucky. But then other people are like, is Jeff going with you? I said, no, I'm going by myself,
Then it's
just
the
with the,
judgment. Yeah, it's like,
or they'll say, are you guys okay? Like, yes, we're fine.
uh,
And I brought it up the other day because I was starting to feel sad or guilty. He's like, that's what makes it work with us.
yeah.
If either one was of us would be worried about it, then we wouldn't be doing these things, but we also wouldn't be together. And it's true. Like, so that stuff normally doesn't get to me, but just hearing it a little bit more, it just, I don't know, it got under my skin a little bit and got into my head.
Oh, totally. I completely understand that.
Right. And
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's fine. And for a few nights, I did get a little emotional because I'm like, oh, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss Freddie. What am I going to like? Is he going to get in a deep, dark depression, wondering when his mom's coming home? But now I'm just excited.
You know what? Everything is going to be fine and it is going to be a beautiful experience. And you're going to be able to tell all the people back home all
Yeah.
about it. I mean, how fun. You're living this big movie magic moment. It's
I,
so cool.
that's what I hope, like I, it just seems like such an adventure, and to be able to do this and to look back and to have this in my pocket of my memory and to tell people that you should just go. I don't have the money
Yeah.
for this, but I'm making it work. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's expensive, but if you have the desire to just go and do these things, you have to, because
Yep.
it's really hard to make those choices. I get it. But sometimes you just got to dive in, get a non-refundable ticket, and
Yep.
do it, right?
I also think it's so funny when you make even small choices people will weigh in on, but the big choices that you make or big fun things that you do, people always share like a little judgmental, even if it's good or bad, they'll kind of judge the experience. And
Yes.
I understand this as well. Like Luke is going through, it's so different, but it's reminding me of this. But Luke has this really tough residency that he's in. He has 7 years of general surgery residency. It's going to be a doozy. It's a lot. The first year is definitely one of the worst years. And he's currently on nights. So he leaves at 5 p.m., gets back at 5:30 in the morning. We kind of like tag in and out. It's a very, very weird experience right now, right? But similar to you, when I express kind of like, oh, this is challenging and weird and different, people are like, are you okay? How's the
Yes.
connection? Are you feeling connected? And it's like, that is none of your fucking business. I'm sorry. First of all, I'm just like, I don't need, I'm sharing this with you so that I can get your support. And maybe you can call me once in a while at night in case I get, nervous, or,
Yes.
invite me to dinner once in a while.
If you get a little email or like just
Yeah.
want company.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not asking for you to dive deep and like analyze me and Luke. We're good.
No.
We're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I don't need to hear that from you.
Yeah.
100%. And I feel in those situations, people do like to kind of poke and prod,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
for anything, for a relationship, for something you're doing or buying, like, oh, you can afford that? Or why are you
Yeah.
buying that? What makes you able to do that? Like
It's
it
like, don't
doesn't,
worry about it.
no, it's totally fine. It's I
Yeah.
or like that's up to me. That's my decision to
Right.
make, like not yours. And if I want to share it with you, I will. But if not,
Right.
peace.
Exactly. No, but I also get how that's easy to let those things sink in when you're feeling a little
Mhm.
bit kind of vulnerable yourself. But I am very proud of you for making this. I've been telling everyone how proud of you I am. Like all my friends and
Oh,
family are so excited for you to have this adventure.
oh
I
my
might even be
gosh.
joining you. Like I'm trying to come and visit. I mean, it's just an amazing experience. Why
I
not?
I am crossing every finger, every toe that you will be.
I
And
know.
like, and there are different times. So like whatever works for you, I will make work for me. Like 100,000%. And not to go back, but one time you said something, and I feel like this can actually really relate with friends or family, anybody,
Mm,
coworkers in these situations when you feel like somebody is judging you or you just want to like vent and talk about it. It's, do I want comfort or do I want advice? And
yep.
you taught me that. And I think that that is so useful. And in those situations, I do think sometimes you just want comfort.
Yes. And I mean, truly communicating is just the secret to life. So it's like if you just over communicate with people like, "Hey, I'm looking for support. I don't really need you to kind of weigh in on what you would do. I just want you to support me." It's like even though that sounds a little overkill as a precursor, it's so helpful because then your friends are like, "Okay, cool. Let me just listen and take
Yes.
this in."
Yes, and sometimes that's just really what you want. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want a conversation, you just want
No.
somebody to hear you out. And then that takes it off of your shoulders and off of your mind, right? Like,
Yep.
you just felt recognized.
Exactly. Exactly. And I want to hear all the plans of your trip. I'm pulling that up our brainstorm as well because I thought it could
Yes.
be fun. Well, we thought it could be fun for this podcast to talk all about your trip, everything that you have planned, and then also kind of how you came to this place of deciding to go to Europe because I think
I,
that's also sort of interesting.
I think that's
Where
so, so brilliant. Okay, well, you know what I can do? I can talk about just maybe the places that I'm going
yes.
and or the
Yes.
start of it, like why I chose to do it, where I'm going to start, where to
Tell
spend.
us.
Tell us, tell us,
Yes.
tell us. Before I met Jeff, I really wanted to move to London. Like I had never been there before. I just had this desire for it. And at the time I was working on the road with the Swan Brothers. Shout out, great episode.
Woo.
And um we had 3 days off. So I went to London for a day and a half just to see
Oh
it.
my God.
I know. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. And then I fell in love with Jeff. So we stayed here and it,
Oh,
as of right now, it's not happening because our careers are here, the
right.
music business. So it's not logically, logistically feasible for us at the moment, but I'm hopeful one day. And I just, if we have a kid one day, it makes it hard. Like you're not going to stop doing things, but there are more factors and you
Hmm.
likely won't be able to go away for 6 weeks on your own. But you'll get a lot of judgment if you do.
Get a
Right?
lot of
A
judgment for
lot
that
of
one.
judgment.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, what the fuck? I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go. And so I just little by little, as our tagline says, I rarely make plans. So I've been struggling with it, but I slowly have been putting plans together. I'll be in London for a little while. I am house sitting in Malta. So
Ooh.
I know. So I'm part of this thing. And I think this is something like cool to share with everybody. Trusted house sitters. You sign up, they background check you, and all around the world and in America, like all around the country, there are people that are looking for people to watch their houses and animals. In exchange, you stay in that area for free.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Right? So it's just a trade-off and it's almost like the holiday, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm watching a couple little kitties in Malta. Um, I'm gonna go to Iceland and Scotland, and I'm hoping to go to Paris. with you.
Emily in Paris. Feet Peyton. Yeah, I
Peony
know.
in Paris. And the thing is
know.
with that one, Peyton, just so you know, like I can do it anytime that you can do it.
I know.
I know.
I need to figure it out.
We'll talk offline.
I need to figure it out. We'll talk offline. Yes, for sure. Because it's just it sounds so cool. It sounds so fun.
Like, why not too? And we also talked about being the first time we meet in person in Paris.
Yeah, how iconic.
So iconic. We'll meet under the
Amazing.
Eiffel Tower.
Oh my God. Love.
How
We are
romantic, everybody.
platonic soulmates, everyone.
We really are. We really, really are. And I wouldn't change a thing.
Me either.
Meet
Oh my
me under
gosh.
that Eiffel Tower. Woo, woo, woo.
I'll bring the red wine. I'll be like, hello.
I'll bring the baguettes and some
Perfect.
patisseries.
Oh my gosh, we're ready. Amazing.
Come on.
Okay, so how
I'm
did you
excited.
come to decide this is the right time? This is what I want to do? Did you just wake up one day? How did it all happen?
You know, I think it was just a culmination of things. This time of life, I've really leaned into myself this last year, and this podcast and your friendship like has really been a part of that, like in a very huge way. I won't say never, but very little do I put myself first. I always think of what I need to do for somebody first, and then in the middle, if it works out, I'll do it for me. And in this, I kind of let all of that go. I talked to my boss. He was okay with it. So that was the first thing. Because going for 6 weeks, leaving your boss, I'm his assistant too. Like, so that's a lot. That really is a lot. And then I don't know. I think I am at that time where life can change. Like if you do have a family, and I'm starting to think about that, people around me are having kids.
Right.
And I think it's just kind of like little birds chirping in my ear. And so it just felt right. It just felt like the time. And this time of year, Jeff is off the road. So, Freddie wouldn't have to find a place to be all that time. And, I kind of just forced the stars to align.
Yeah, you did.
Right. And I think we have to sometimes.
Yes. I was just going to say, I think sometimes you have to speak things into existence, and you just have to say, this is what I'm going to do. And somehow everything kind of lines up and figures itself out.
It does. It does. And this is off track, but a couple nights ago, that was a conversation that Jeff and I were having. It's sometimes hard when you get into these spaces that feel like you're in lack of creativity, or you feel like you're just in a rut. And you absolutely have to stay focused and hardworking, but you also have to allow for space for things to happen. And you have to allow your mind to believe that. I know we're both big believers in that. And that's something that you and I like to always just remind not only each other, but people listening, because there's a lot of power in that.
A whole lot. I mean, it's just, I was reflecting this morning because it's coming to the end of January now, and it's really, really beautiful and amazing of what you and I have accomplished in 25 days.
Yes.
I mean, it is wild to me that we just said yes to ourselves, yes to our dreams, and are building something really cool, and we're getting great feedback, and we feel good, and it's helped energize me in other parts of my life. And I know you've shared that as well. It's just, and my friends even noticed it last weekend when I was in Sacramento. They were just like, you seem so much more sure of yourself. And
Peyton, that's amazing.
I know. One of my best friends, Sarah, who's my maid of honor and knows me very well, she was just like, it was cool to hear you talk about branding and social media and your interests, and not do it with a weird, face, or only say to a certain safe few. Like, you were really comfortable being yourself in any setting, and that was refreshing. And I was like, oh, I think it's because of PS We Have No Plan.
It's because PS We Have No Plan, everybody. I mean, we say we don't have a plan, but our plan is no plan.
Yeah, exactly.
But we still have that plan, for sure.
Exactly.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Looking like what we have accomplished, like you said, in 25 days, but we wouldn't have gotten here without us doing this almost for a year now. Like all of those long, harder steps, like, and still going for it when it felt weird, like those were necessary for us to be able to get to where we are right now. And hopefully, and to where we're going to go further each month and year and,
Yep.
everything that passes by. And it's just, we said yes to it. And even when we were nervous, like, and unsure of what to say or who to reach out to, like, can we do
Mhm.
this? We just kind of ignored that in our brains and kept going. And I think,
Exactly.
right? And I really think that that is such a life lesson to not only learn for yourself, but once you do, to share that with others.
100%. And it is funny because some of my people in my life are like, great, well, what's next for this brand? And how are you going to monetize it? And how are you going to make this your full-time job and your business? And, you and Emily, how are you going to do this? How are you going to build the empire? And it's funny because to me, my response is always like, so interesting. People immediately jump to how are you going to monetize? How are you going to make this a money thing? And
Yeah.
it's, of course, eventually it would be awesome if we had our own business and brand and an office and built out our own team. That would be amazing. And I hope we get there. But it's just been refreshing to pour ourselves into a passion project without any ties, without anyone holding anything over us, without money being attached or associated. It's just because we want to.
Absolutely.
That's all it's been so far, is like we just want to do this and we want to learn more about ourselves. And I don't know, it's just so rare in life that
I
people do that.
I couldn't agree more. And it's self accountability. There's nobody
Yeah,
making us do this but ourselves and each other, And
right.
I think part of that is keeping myself accountable is I don't want to let you down because I know how
Same.
much we've put into this. And when I feel like I'm lacking, I really am like, okay, I've got to get it together. I need to pull my weight a little bit more. And I think it's just that desire for this, that it's actually
Yeah.
something that we believe in and we really like, that we're keeping ourselves accountable.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see. And I think another big piece of it is we're in a mentally kind of good spot, both of us. And I think we've been
Yes.
open about how that's not necessarily been the case our whole lives. And that's why I jotted down a few questions because I watched this really impactful Netflix interview about mental health last night. And it made me think like we are really mentally well right now. And I think it's because we have a lot of these different things that I personally didn't have before I met you and before we started PS. And so I thought we could maybe talk more about mental health this episode too.
Absolutely. I think that is
Yes.
so brilliant because I feel the exact same way. I know we've both gone on paths where we feel lost or not even really knowing who I am right now or
Yeah.
what I want to be when I grow up or the confidence to just be yourself, which
Yeah.
sounds so simple, but it is so hard to do.
It's
And
really hard.
this has encouraged us and I think given us a space to do that, a safer space that we have made that for ourselves and for each other. And that in itself has, I think, just totally helped our minds and helped us feel, I don't know, worthy and needed.
Truly. Yeah, truly. It's like given us purpose and it's given us
Yeah.
passion. It's given us commitment and all the good things. And so with this in mind, I watched this interview with, I think I brought up Ginny and Georgia in our last episode, but
Yes.
it's with cast of Ginny and Georgia, a new Netflix series. Season 2 just got released. So Antonia Gentry and Felix Mallard, I believe is his last name, had this interview, and the show is very heavy. It talks a lot about self-harm and um depression, and it's a heavy show. And so Netflix probably wanted the cast members to kind of talk about mental health, but they had some good questions. So I will ask you and we can go back and forth. But
Okay, good.
the
Because I
first
want you to
one,
answer too. This can't be all my voice. Nobody wants that.
well, we can pose it for both of us. We can both
Okay.
answer.
Okay.
What does self-care mean to you?
I think it's being aware of what I'm spending my thinking time on, to be honest with you, and knowing when I need to turn that off, knowing when I've been on my phone too much, taking some time for just quiet, and I mean going outside, activity. I think self-care for me is very much activity and making sure that my mind feels clear. And there's a
Clarity.
lot of ways.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Does that make sense?
That does. And I love that. I think I love that because I resonate with that too. And I think I'll add, because I agree with those statements, is identifying what makes me happy in the moment and
Oh, that's
actually
good.
going after that, right? Because I think sometimes that does mean the traditional self-care activities. Like sometimes I'm like, I feel
Yes.
really run down. I feel like I'm breaking out everywhere. I want to do a face mask and a bath.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm feeling like lately, this month, for example, I've felt very inspired and creative. And it's like doing more of that and committing to more of that is a form of self-care to me.
Absolutely. And chasing what is giving you like a spark at the moment. Like that really
Yeah.
is. Absolutely. I mean, pouring a glass of wine, like that can be self-care. If you've
Right.
had a really long day and that, is just something that you'd really like, absolutely do it. I don't think that there's a one size fits all in self-care. I think there's a line, and I think we did talk about this once. It's, when does self-care become, or what was it? Treat yourself becomes treat myself every day. So of course you have to like balance self-care with, well, I don't know, the materialized stuff. You know what? I take all of that back. That's not true at all. I think if it's self-care and it's helping you and your mind, then there is nothing that you should take back or not do. I really do. Like
I agree.
as I was talking that out, that doesn't make sense. I think if it works for you and you need it to be clear and a better you, then you have to do it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think where it becomes overindulgent, which what you were talking about, like the treat yourself stuff, is when you're not being mindful about what you actually need. And so it's really about, for me, connecting with myself and being honest with myself about what I need. Because sometimes it's different, and not placing judgment on it. Because
No,
I
not at
know,
all.
right? Like in my therapy session, sometimes I'll judge myself before I even say what I'm
I
supposed to
know.
say. And it's like, just speak your mind, just say what you have to say and don't judge yourself. I think that's taking care of yourself. I think that's self-care.
It is. That's so well said. And I think I still have trouble with that. Like
Oh, for
judging what I'm
sure.
right, or even something that's in my mind, a thought. It could be like something not really nice. And I'm like, how am I
Hmm.
thinking this? This isn't me.
Hmm.
And sometimes that can like cause a little bit of a mind fuck. And I think those are hard too, but you just have to work through it and just recognize maybe if these thoughts are there or you're not thinking clearly, what can
Hmm.
I do to kind of like zen down and come back to myself? And whatever that might
Exactly.
be. It could be a
Exactly.
massage, when I get my hair cut, I really think of that as self-help or self-care because I love like the hair massage when they wash your hair. Like
Me too.
that's the best part. I would pay $50 to have that done. Just that.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So this is the second question. It kind of goes along with everything that we're all about. So I'm curious to hear from you. How do you think about self-discovery and its part in mental health?
I think they go hand in hand. I really do. I don't think that one is a oh gosh, what's the word? I don't think one is the outcome of the other. Like it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
just because you know yourself doesn't mean you're going to have clarity,
Mm-hmm.
um or super like healthy brain at the moment and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I do think that once you become closer to knowing who you are and aware of what you want, what you think, what you need, what makes you happy, who you're around, what you want to spend your time doing, I definitely think then you're able to go on a more a path that's more for you and that helps you in your mind, because then you're not questioning everything that you're doing, or you're not sick and tired of what you're putting your energy into. And that really clouds
Yeah.
up your mind.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about how connecting with ourselves through this brand and through our friendship has helped us stay in a healthy mental state. And it's so funny that something so basic as self-discovery, right? I feel like
Yeah,
that's a term people throw around all the time, but it really to me just means learning yourself and
absolutely.
giving yourself space to ask yourself what you need and ask yourself what you like and be creative and funky and fun and different and yeah, just leave room for creativity.
Yeah.
And It's interesting how positive and happy I've felt from doing that. And it's just, you think it's just so complicated. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so doom gloom. It's sad. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But I do think these basic activities we forget as we get older, like checking in with ourselves, like writing to write, like singing or dancing when we feel like singing or dancing, going for a walk.
Yeah.
Right? Like talking to a friend, talking about your feelings, saying how you feel, talking about your day, like all that can help with your mental health so much.
It can, and it's those are the basics of life, right? We make things so hard, and with all the technology and things that are built onto each other, and what all these things that are at our everyday grasp, I think we forget that what we really need is like the simple things, the human interaction, the good whole foods, being outside, having some sunshine on our face, just feeling something, like just feeling. And I listen to this motivation almost every day, and he always says that he goes, we make things so complicated when we don't need to. This is our one life, so let's make it everything that we want to. And it's called Bergs by Mount Wolf, and it is, I'll put it on, I'll put that on our website for like a little one of our inspiration pages. But it is just so magical, and it is so soothing, and something like that just helps me connect to what it's all about. And it's really just simplicity. It's not always going to be simple because we don't live in a simple world.
I know.
And that would
I
be,
think,
no,
sorry,
go
go
on.
ahead.
No.
I was gonna completely agree with you. And I think sometimes the wellness world tries to make it like this, you have to buy this fancy thing and you have to subscribe to this overpriced meditation series and do these kind of things. And that is cool if you want to do that, all for it, whatever. But it is funny how I never really connected to myself through those things. I think I enjoyed those things. Like I love a good yoga class. I love to exercise. I love those things, but sometimes that doesn't really help me connect with what I need and who I am at my core. So my blog post today on our site is about things that I do that actually help me stay mindful. And they're such silly activities. Like I ask Alexa, what is my affirmation for today? And Alexa will tell me a little I am statement, and I'll say it out loud. I'll write it in my journal. Any water next to my bedside table, I'll like dump it in Maisie's water bowl or in a house plant, and I'll get a fresh glass of water. And it will just remind me, okay, today's a new day. Look at this fresh water.
That is so cool.
Right? Like little things. And it's funny. They're free. They take 2 seconds, and it really does help me personally connect with myself. So,
and you're sharing something that you have, like just that water. I love that because that makes a difference to that growing plant, to Maisie. You're sharing what you have, and then just, this is, you're filling your cup right back up.
Right. And it's a weird mental thing where I'm like, I'm doing something good for myself. Like it makes me feel good. It makes me, so those types of little things really, to your point, the simple everyday things are actually amazingly helpful.
They are. They really are. And there are times where it's hard to see them or connect with them because of circumstances, out of your control. And that happens to everybody. And we all have to, it's tough. It's definitely really tough when those things happen. But when you are able to control things or your mind, it makes a big difference.
Oh my gosh, totally. And I'm curious, the next question, because this bleeds into that, is how you talk about mental health with your friends and family. So when you are in a bad spout, how do you talk about it versus when you are feeling good? How do you talk about it? And I think you brought this up earlier, and not sound like you're bragging. Like, how do you talk about your mental health with friends and family?
That's a really good question because I don't know if I've ever thought about that before. I don't know if I actually really do. I think if I'm feeling blue or in a bad headspace or just sad, I say that, like I say it that way, like I'm just not in a good headspace today, or I'm just feeling really blue or sad and I don't know why. And I'll share that with my family mostly, and then my like core group of girlfriends, there's like 3 of them, and it's with my girlfriends, we just always pump each other up and just be like, it's okay. Like, we're here. It's not always going to be this way. And not a toxic positivity,
Right.
but just being there for each other. And that's what, like, we have our little group chat. So whenever somebody's down, we pick them up, and it's always somebody. And then sometimes it's you. And that's so helpful to just have like that little pod that, will always listen. Like, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
talk, but these texts are there. And
Mm-hmm.
then my family and Jeff, it's just, I don't, I guess I don't think about it. It's just whatever state I'm in, I just kind of say it. And because
Yeah.
it reflects in my mood, or if I'm talking or whatever I'm doing, if I have the energy to go do something or not, it definitely, you can see it in my physical actions, in my
Mhm.
physical state.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it just takes over sometimes, both positively and negatively. So I agree with
Right.
you. It is sort of an awkward, I mean, being vulnerable is so challenging. And I think you're
Yes.
taught from a young age, like that's wrong or that's weak or it's better to be right than it is to kind of be vulnerable and talk about whatever your feelings. And it's just, I don't know. I'm returning back to when I was a kid and just saying out loud how I'm
Yeah.
feeling like every day and just
Do you feel
being a
like
bit more
therapy,
honest.
do you feel like therapy has helped you find that?
For sure. I
Yeah.
think so.
I
And
think
being
that was
able
my
to,
catalyst too.
right? And just being able to put words to how you feel. Because I think that can be kind of a hard, like I know what I'm feeling up here, but it's really hard to say it. I think
Yeah.
therapy has helped me connect the two.
Absolutely. And I remember, man, for a good few months when I was seeing my first therapist, every time I would cry or say something, I was like, I feel so guilty. Like, I don't want you to like hold this. Like, I don't want you to have to hear this from me, because you don't need to hear this. You don't need to carry it. She's like, that's what my job is. I'm here for you to be like, I'm your sounding board. But I could not get over feeling guilty of spilling all of that. I got over
Mm.
it eventually, but it was really hard. And I think that is a personality trait of mine that I'm working on, to be okay with talking about my feelings. And I definitely think I'm getting better. Maybe sometimes I do it too much, but it's definitely a hard hurdle to initially pull yourself over.
I think so too. I think creating space for yourself to feel and
Mhm.
express how you feel is really scary. It can then when the floodgates open, sometimes, like you said, you just like go on a little rant. But I
Yeah.
think that's okay. It's just people, at least for my friends and I, we try to give each other the space and we'll queue up questions and we'll say, how's this going? Or how's that? How's this? How's the other? How are you really doing? So we'll try to kind of probe a bit, but yeah, honestly, the best advice I would say is just practice. Like practice talking about
Yes.
your feelings with your friends and
Yes.
family because it is hard to do.
It is, and it's okay. It's okay to do that. And it's actually like, once you do it, you'll feel so good. It's one of those things I feel you will say to yourself, why didn't I do this sooner?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so like, it really is one of those things. And I mean, I could say that about so many occurrences in life. But the thing is, you just have to recognize, but I'm doing it now. And thank goodness
Yep.
I'm doing it now.
Yep. Agreed. Well, the final question, because I know we're coming to the end of our episode, is what's the best advice you've gotten about mental health or kind of anything within that realm, but maybe about how to take care of yourself or mental health.
I think that it's never too much. It's never too much. Don't ever hold it all in. We are here for you, because so many times you see people or know people that it is too much, and, you know, the ultimate sacrifices themselves, and you don't want that to happen to yourself or somebody that you love. And I think the best advice that I have gotten and that I give to my friends is, just don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to ask for help, a shoulder to lean on. It's okay to say, like, I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And I think it's as simple as that.
I love that. I love that advice. I agree. And I'll add, I think the something that I've learned, is to stop. I mean, I said this earlier, but just stop judging yourself. I think we all have this way about, like, it's human nature to kind of observe yourself and place judgment on how you're feeling, and how you're doing, what you do to take care of yourself. I know for myself, a lot of the things that I'll do is watch clips on YouTube. For example, last night I stayed up till midnight watching a bunch of Seth Cohen videos from the OC, and I absolutely love him. And
we love Seth Cohen.
Seth Cohen. I know, he's so great and wonderful. And I was missing Luke, and I was getting kind of scared at night by myself. And that was a form of self-care, was staying up a little later. I know I had to wake up early. I know whatever. It's better to get 8 hours of sleep rather than 6 and whatever else. And it's probably good to read a book rather than watch technology. But for me,
that was not happening. Yeah. Wasn't going to happen for you.
And it was soothing. And it soothed me to sleep. And it was a wonderful thing. And I watched great clips and made me happy. And I love TV and movies. And so it's just, I'm going on a rant, but it's just to not judge yourself in what you need in a moment.
Yes.
And just do it. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes sense, but
it makes total sense, and it ties us all up. Just do it. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Just go for it, because you will not regret it.
Yes. Well, this was such a fun episode, and we're so excited to hear about all the adventures in Europe from you. And I hope everyone kind of resonated with this mental health chat. We can do more of this. So thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. This is PS We Have No Plan. Follow us on all of our socials, and pswehavenoplan.com. Bye, guys.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
I woke up in the morning and the sun broke through the open curtains. The birds sang too, and they said, "This is a day to celebrate and savor the fruit you favor." So I said, okay then, what is the best way to taste the fresh flavors